Admiral Catherine Hayes leaned forward in her chair, her coffee mug frozen halfway to her lips. The holographic display flickered as Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez shifted uncomfortably. The Nexar bombardment was extensive, ma'am. New Sydney, Europa Base, and Ganymede Station are all gone, he reported, his voice cracking slightly. Early estimates suggest over 8 million casualties. The coffee mug made a soft clink as Hayes set it on her desk. Her expression remained neutral, a sign those who knew her would recognize as very, very bad. "And the Nexar representative's exact words?" she asked coolly. Rodriguez swallowed hard. "They said, and I quote, 'Your species' expansion beyond your solar system is deemed excessive and threatening to galactic stability. This measured response should serve as adequate deterrent against further colonial ambitions.'" A smile spread across Hayes's face, but it was not pleasant. "Measured, they said." "Yes, ma'am." Interesting choice of words. Hayes stood, adjusting her uniform jacket. "Tell me, Lieutenant, are you familiar with Earth's military history? Specifically, the concept of sleeping dragons?" "I can't say that I am, ma'am. There's an old quote, often misattributed to various figures, 'Let sleeping dragons lie.' It means some forces are better left undisturbed." She moved to the window, gazing out at the gleaming ships of the Terran Defense Fleet. The Nexar, it seems, skipped that chapter in their xenological studies. "Ma'am?" Hayes turned, her dark eyes gleaming. "Humanity has been playing nice, Lieutenant. We've been the good neighbors, the peaceful traders, the diplomatic solution seekers, not because we're naturally inclined to be passive. Oh no, we've been peaceful because we remember. We remember what we're capable of when pushed. The last time humans fought humans, we nearly burned our own world to ash. So, we chose peace, chose exploration over exploitation. But the Nexar, they've reminded us of who we used to be and who we still are, deep down. When someone threatens our own." Her voice hardened as she tapped a command into her desk console. A galactic map appeared, lighting the room with a soft glow. "The Nexar think they've taught us a lesson about overreach. No, Lieutenant. What they've done is wake a sleeping dragon with a very sharp stick. And now," she gestured to the fleet outside, "now, they'll learn why every other spacefaring species gave Earth such a wide berth during first contact." On board the Nexar containment fleet, senior tactician Raxival was having what humans might call a very bad day. "What do you mean they're not retreating?" Raxival's sensory frills vibrated with agitation. "The demonstration was perfectly calculated. The loss ratio should have triggered their species' survival instincts." Junior analyst Tekmora hesitated. "The human response has been unexpected, Honored One. Instead of withdrawing their colonial operations, they've launched what appears to be a full military mobilization. Civilian ships are being retrofitted with shields and weapons systems." "That's not possible. Their xenological profile clearly indicates they avoid large-scale conflict. Their entire post-atomic society is built on cooperation." "Perhaps," came a quiet voice from the corner, "we should have paid more attention to why they built their society that way. Consider, Honored One, that a species doesn't develop anti-annihilation weapons, faster-than-light drives, and artificial gravity for mere exploration. Every piece of human technology has dual applications, civilian and military. They didn't stop being warriors. They just found other outlets for those impulses." Before Raxival could respond, a priority alert flashed across the command center. Tekmora paled. "Honored One, we're detecting massive energy signatures from the Sol system. The humans, they're activating ships we never knew they had. Over 3,000 vessels, cruiser class or larger, and all bearing Nexar recognition codes." "How? How do they have our codes?" "Because, Honored One," Zindar said grimly, "humans are paranoid. They've been preparing for this since they first reached the stars. Every trade mission, every diplomatic exchange, it was all intelligence gathering, and now they've turned that knowledge against us." "Status report," Hayes barked, stepping onto the bridge of the TDF Remembrance, a massive dreadnought disguised for decades as a civilian transport. "All ships reporting ready, Admiral," Commander Anjali Patel said crisply. "Operation Wake-Up Call is green across the board. The Nexar still think their jamming systems are working." Hayes allowed herself a small smirk. "Very good. And the special delivery packages?" "Prepped and ready, ma'am. Though I must say the Psychological Warfare Division really outdid themselves this time." "Sometimes the old ways are the best ways," Hayes replied, settling into her command chair. "Humanity spent millennia perfecting the art of intimidation. Might as well put it to good use." She opened a fleet-wide channel. "All ships. This is Admiral Hayes. The Nexar thought they could teach us a lesson about knowing our place. Today, we're going to teach them one instead. They chose to attack our homes, our families, our children. They thought this would show us our weakness. Instead, they're about to learn why every other spacefaring race gives Earth a wide berth. All ships, execute jump sequence on my mark. And don't forget to broadcast the package on all frequencies. Let's show them what happens when you wake the dragons. Jumping in 3, 2, 1. Mark. The human fleet vanished in a cascade of quantum tunneling events, leaving behind a simple broadcast message racing across Nexar communication channels. "We didn't build these ships because we wanted to fight. We built them because we remember what we're capable of when we have to. You took 8 million lives to teach us a lesson about knowing our place. Now, we'll teach you a lesson about humanity. Dragons don't seek out fights, but once awakened, they don't stop until the threat is ash." Raxival, senior tactician of the Nexar High Command, stood frozen in the command center as the human fleet materialized out of the quantum void, thousands of warships gleaming with weaponry far beyond the Nexar's worst-case projections. The words from the broadcast repeated in their mind. Dragons don't seek out fights, but once awakened, they don't stop until the threat is ash. "What are their formations?" Raxival barked, trying to steady their frills. The junior tactician, Tekmora, hesitated, their display tendrils flickering erratically. They aren't in standard military formations, Honored One. They've adopted irregular pattern seat ships seems optimized to counter Nexar technology. It's as though they've studied us for centuries." Raxival stiffened, realizing the horrifying truth. "They have." On the bridge of the TDF Remembrance, Admiral Hayes observed the Nexar fleet through the massive holodisplay. Their shimmering crystalline vessels, normally imposing, now seemed like fragile sculptures waiting to be shattered. "Admiral, Nexar border defenses are attempting to recalibrate," reported Commander Patel. "They're deploying jamming fields and reinforcing their energy grids." Hayes leaned forward, her voice calm yet lethal. "Deploy countermeasures. Overload their systems. Show them what redundancy looks like." The fleet responded in unison. Electromagnetic pulses rippled outward, neutralizing Nexar defenses before they could stabilize. Shields failed. Communication channels collapsed. Nexar stations, designed for offense, suddenly found themselves blind and vulnerable. "Phase 1 complete," Patel reported. "The Nexar border is defenseless." Hayes gave a faint smile. "Good. Begin Phase 2. Remind them why you never, ever provoke humanity." The Nexar High Command descended into chaos as tactical updates poured in, each more catastrophic than the last. "Honored One," Tekmora exclaimed. "They've bypassed our core defenses. Human vessels are targeting key infrastructure with surgical precision." "How are they doing this?" Raxival demanded, their frills flat against their head. "They've adapted, Honored One. Their ships, their tactics, everything is designed to exploit our weaknesses." Raxival collapsed into their command seat, their limbs trembling. The Nexar had never faced an enemy like Thesis species that could wield overwhelming power with such controlled precision. What do they want?" Admiral Hayes's voice cut through the chaos, transmitted directly into the Nexar command center. Her holographic image appeared larger than life, her expression cold and unyielding. "Raxival of the Nexar High Command," she began, her voice measured and deliberate. "You have a choice. Surrender, or watch as every ship, every station, and every colony you possess is dismantled, piece by piece." "This is madness," Raxival snarled. "Your actions defy galactic stability." "You," Hayes interrupted, her tone sharpened by years of command. "Stability? You attacked civilians. You slaughtered millions without warning or provocation. And you call that stability?" She leaned closer to the holographic feed. "No, Raxival. This isn't madness. This is justice." The Nexar leader faltered. "What are your terms?" Hayes's eyes narrowed. "Unconditional surrender, reparations for every colony you destroyed, and full cooperation in rebuilding what you've obliterated." Raxival's frills quivered. "And if we refuse?" Hayes's expression hardened. "Refusal isn't an option, but to make things crystal clear." She nodded to Patel, who sent a data packet directly to the Nexar command systems. Screens across the Nexar fleet lit up, displaying detailed scans of their ships and stations. Vulnerabilities were highlighted in precise annotations: structural weak points, energy grid flaws, critical system overload triggers. It was an exhaustive map of how to dismantle their military infrastructure. Hayes's voice softened, but the cold edge remained. "That's about 2% of what we know about your military capabilities. We didn't want to use this knowledge, but now, you've left us no choice." Raxival sat in stunned silence. They had underestimated humanity at every turn, viewing them as a species of reckless expansionists. Now they saw the truth. Humans were not naive explorers. They were a species that remembered, a species that chose peace not from weakness, but from a profound understanding of their own power. The surrender was signed within the hour. 3 months later, the Nexar construction fleet worked alongside human engineers to rebuild New Sydney. The colony, now larger and stronger than ever, stood as a testament to cooperation forged from conflict. Nexar ships transported materials under the watchful eyes of Terran Defense Force vessels. "Interesting report from Zynap, ma'am," Lieutenant Rodriguez said, placing a datapad on Hayes's desk. "Apparently, the Nexar have completely rewritten their tactical doctrines. They now classify humanity as a sleeping dragon species." Hayes smirked. "Good. That's a much healthier perspective." "There's also been an increase in trade requests from other species," Rodriguez added. "Apparently, the way we handled the Nexar impressed them." Hayes raised an eyebrow. "Their exact words?" Rodriguez grinned. "Demonstrated admirable restraint in victory and wisdom in peace." Hayes chuckled softly. "Well, I suppose there are worse things to be called than dragons." She turned to the window, watching as Nexar and human engineers collaborated on the colony's new defensive systems. In the distance, a towering monument stood, a dragon coiled protectively around the Earth, a reminder of the cost of provocation. Humanity had shown the galaxy what it meant to awaken the dragon, and in doing so, they had forged a new era of understanding. Sometimes, Hayes mused, all it took was waking the dragon once to ensure a very long and peaceful slumber for everyone else.